Dr. Anil Maheshwari joined the School of Computer Science as an assistant professor in 1996 and has been a professor with the school since 2007. He works in the field of design, analysis and implementation of sequential, parallel and external memory algorithms for problems arising in computational geometry, graph theory and data science. He received his bachelor's and master's degrees from BITS Pilani and his PhD from Tata Institute of Fundamental Research in India. He was a postdoctoral fellow at the Max Planck Institute for Computer Science in Saarbrücken, Germany, and a research associate at Carleton. Dr. Maheshwari has been looking into problems related to geometric graphs, geometric location analysis, and shortest path problems. His research in geometric graphs is centered on the theme of establishing graph-theoretic and geometric properties of the underlying spatial configuration and use them to design efficient algorithmic solutions. Mr. Pritesh Kakani is currently working as a software developer in software as a service in a leading cloud computing and hyper-converged infrastructure company, Nutanix Technologies, Pune. His interests are reading, software technologies, valuation of companies, and capital allocation. He has completed a BTech and an MTech dual degree in electronics from the prestigious IIT Kharagpur. He is an NTSE scholar and has worked in the world's largest healthcare company, United Health. His success mantra: courage, focus, execution, and patience. His plans include working in innovative technology companies and investing in aspiring entrepreneurs. Dr. Neha Rathi is a behavioral nutritionist and committed to creating a well-trimmed planet and a knowledgeable society. She is currently a postdoctoral fellow at IIT Bombay. She loves good insights and enjoys challenging herself with unlocking new possibilities. Cross-cultural nutritional complexities are her forte. As she has worked in Australia and India, Dr. Rathi brings an in-depth understanding of the social, cultural, educational and environmental contexts that influence nutritional and health issues. She has a bachelor's degree in food and nutrition from Jadavpur University, Kolkata, and a master's degree in food science and nutrition from SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. Thereafter, she completed her PhD in behavioral nutrition from Deakin University, Australia. She is currently conducting qualitative research on food literacy and health behaviors of Indians. Her future plans include research to improve the food and nutrition landscape across Indian schools through the development of skills-based nutrition curricula and healthy food policies. Dr. Manoj Toshniwal is a consultant hematologist and a bone marrow transplant physician. He is the managing director of Jeevan Amrit Hematology Center at Aurangabad. He has completed his MD in Medicine, Doctorate of Medicine in Clinical Hematology with a gold medal and a fellowship in leukemia and bone marrow transplant. He cleared the MD and DM examinations in the very first attempt and was ranked 4th in India in the DM entrance exam. He is the only hematologist in the country to have 2 fellowships post-DM in bone marrow transplant. He started the bone marrow program at MGM MCRI Aurangabad, which has become the first medical college to successfully perform HLA or human leukocyte antigen half-matched bone marrow transplant. He is a firm believer in diligence and persistence as the 2 key pillars for long-term success and plans to establish a world-class standalone hematology center in Maharashtra. Mr. Prateek Manudhanya currently works at Bain & Company as a management consultant. At Bain, he has had extensive experience in advising private equity clients and hedge funds on investment opportunities across more than 6 industries in India. After completing BCom with honours from the prestigious Sri Ram College of Commerce, New Delhi, he obtained his PGDM from IIM Bengaluru, securing 6th position in the institute. He also did courses at HEC Paris in digital business models and entrepreneurship. He won the Director's Merit List Award at IIM Bengaluru and is also the winner of Google's National Competition on Women Empowerment, Walmart Grant for Social Entrepreneurship, KPMG Grant for Social Innovation, and Blue Dart Social Contest. He believes in consistency as the key to greatness and wishes to become a leading consultant in the development space.
respected trustee of MVPM, Shri Mishrilalji Jawar, chairman of MVPM Scholars Committee, Rajendra Maluji, my fellow panelists, and the students who are sitting here. A very warm welcome to today's panel, where we are going to discuss emerging career options in advanced studies. Since morning, I have been attending quite a few sessions, and it is very encouraging to see that a session on finance spoke more on technology today. Session on startups spoke more about technology today, and there is a common trend and a common thread that was mentioned by a lot of people, is that हम सब माहेश्वरी हैं, ability to understand finance, entrepreneurship is in our DNA. Now imagine if that is already in our DNA, and if we club it with academic ammunition that comes from other streams, then I think and I feel and I believe that it's a lethal combination. Many of the occupations and career options that exist today, right, may not exist after 10 years. The environment that we are going to live in is going to be extremely disruptive and changing all the time. The future workplaces are going to be driven by rapid technological advancement, changing or shifting demographics, and new employment models. And in such a world, it is imperative that we choose careers that don't fall prey to the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous business world, but rather thrive on the new opportunities that are created to generate success, recognition, and sustainable financial growth. A lot of examples are already around us, where if you can just start the slide show, I would like to. You can change it, man. Right? So imagine 10 years ago, if somebody had told you that you will actually book a cab and go from point A to point B and not pay any money from your wallet, that is hard currency, or stay in a stranger's room totally after having booked based on some reviews and ratings, right? Consume most of your entertainment or infotainment on the small screen in your hand rather than the television that occupied such a sacred place in most of our households since a decade or more. Now imagine how it would look like 10 years later, right? What will, when we are talking about jobs which are, or career options that are available today may not be relevant after 10 years. So 10 साल बाद वो क्या career option होंगे और वो क्या opportunities create होगी, वो भी हमें शायद अभी पता नहीं है. And we have to be prepared for that. There's a lot of discussion that happens on the fact that we are already on the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution. Basically, the first one was driven by mechanization. The second one was electrical energy. The third one was the IT, basically the ITS sector and the innovation that came with it, right? But the fourth revolution that is going to influence and impact sectors across the spectrum is going to be driven by AI. A lot of these buzzwords I have heard even in other panels, but today if you have any queries, I'm sure in this August gathering and the dignitaries and the panelists that we have, they are the ones who are actually working on it, right? So AI, big data, analytics, ML, cloud computing, nanotechnology, ये है जो drive करेंगे अभी जो current revolution आएगा. और this impact is going to be there across different verticals. You have a Ola and a Uber that has disrupted mobility. You have Amazon and Flipkart that has disrupted retail. But you also have a Practo, which has created opportunities to discover medical services and book appointments with doctor, right? It has actually solved a problem and created a new market जो पहले ये होता नहीं था. So instead of going into a lot of depth about how these how technology is going to influence various other career options or create new opportunities or unlock new opportunities, which I feel the panel is, I think, the expert to share their views on it. I would just take the next 2 minutes to basically talk about the students, right? I just want to showcase a typical conversation, and have been in the education sector for almost half a decade, and before that working in the corporate world. I've had the opportunity to interact one-to-one with more than 4,000 students, and no matter how diligent or how intelligent a student is, a student does have confusion, a student does have insecurities. Awareness ज़्यादा होगी तो confusion की quality better होगी, but होगा. So imagine there is a conversation between two friends, right? So if you can just, yeah. तो ये common discussion है. ये irrespective of whether it is engineering, medical, ये एक school time पे everybody has it. कि what do you think you're going to do, and you know, दोस्त बोलता है college करेंगे, college में क्या करना है, तो बोले पता नहीं, I still not found my calling, I don't know what I'm interested in. Many of the dignitaries on the panel spoke about following your heart in the earlier discussions, about doing what you like, about doing something जिसमें आपको you don't have to watch the watch, घड़ी नहीं देखनी पड़ी. If some of you have attended those earlier panels, you would have heard that, right? But वो discover करने के बाद it's very easy to talk about it. जब तक वो discover नहीं होता है, somebody has to acknowledge, yeah, it is a issue. और ये जो आप पढ़ रहे हैं, इसमें now both those friends are wondering, जो कुणाल करेगा या देखते वो क्या करता है, we'll just follow him. So the same confusion stands, right? So a very apt slide. As the world speeds up, how do we decide? How do we keep up with it, right? And for that, I would like to invite my panelists on the dais so that we can, with their permission, commence the discussion. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
At the back? Awesome. So, one of the reasons why we will have some visual cues for you is because, unlike other panel discussions, this panel has a seasoned academician, a doctor, a nutritionist, an engineer, and a management student, and a management graduate, right? So we'll try to address all of these different streams and do justice to their expertise so that they can also give feedback that is more aligned to the needs and requirements of today's generation in our community. And we'll start with Dr. Anilji Maheshwari. Sir, you have you have seen the several waves of technological advancements, several generations of theories and applications being tested, innovated upon, and disrupted as well. You've also been part of the educational institutions, the best ones across the world, and now you're based out of a place which basically defines the way education should be, education should be delivered, and what are the best practices for that, especially when it comes to higher education. So with your expertise in data science, computing, and working on mathematical modeling and algorithms, I would request you to please throw some light on the implications of the speed at which this disruption is happening and how our Maheshwari youth can be future ready, and also what are the study options that are available, particularly in North America.
So again, thanks for welcoming me here. I hope you can hear me. So I'll start with the first quiz question. So do you know what are hostels? So since this is MVPM, do you know what are hostels called in my place? In the North American system, they are called residences. You know what is the hostel warden called? Nobody knows that. He or she is called a don. I'm not joking. My son is a Don. He's in University of Waterloo in third year computer science, and my elder son was a Don as well. Okay, so I call them Don 3 and 4. Anyway, so he asked me a very loaded question, and I think he gave me 6 minutes, right? Okay, so it's kind of tough to do a justice for anything here, but I'm going to say a little bit about, so I'm in computer science. I'm going to say very quickly a little about computer science. Much of what I wanted to say was already said in the panel which my dad was chairing just now, so that was somehow cheating. I think I didn't know what they were going to speak, and then they stole, not they stole or whatever. I was supposed to say something from that. Anyway, so the computer science, as most of you know, started in 1950s. We are talking about 2019 now. So last 5-6 decades, the computer science has been that we have a well-defined input, we know what we want, we have a well-defined output, and our task in between was to define a function, which we call algorithm, to somehow map the input to the output. That's essentially, and then we talk about efficient methods, a good operating system to help with us, etc., etc. Now, what has happened in last 2-3 years is we are getting sort of a semi-defined input. We do not know what actually the input is. We really do not know what is the output supposed to be. And then we are supposed to write something, a neural network or whatever, to map input to the output. So this is what is the field of artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., etc. So that gives us a very interesting challenge, which is once we get an output, once we make a decision based on this output, how do we explain what this output is given what was our input? So that thing is very naive stage right now. It requires a lot of research. And what is becoming more important is government agencies and other things where we are making critical decisions using these artificial intelligence systems. They are going to come and challenge us, why did you decide that way? And there may be some law implications and things like this. So we have to start getting prepared for it. And so there was a talk, this thing about disruptions and whatnot. What I'm going to say is that to basically master these kind of fields or to adapt into these kind of fields, I basically go to what is the core knowledge required. And to me, the core knowledge to succeed in these areas, I'm coming from computer science and math again, is essentially in terms of mathematics. So this is for students, not for my dad, okay? So I'm talking about young generation right now, okay? I'm not even talking about myself. So note that what you need is a lot of mathematical skills, especially linear algebra, probability and statistics, calculus. These are bread and butter to survive in that field. Believe me or not, if you want some good references, I can provide you later. So remember, linear algebra, never skip that class, that course. Calculus, statistics and probability, these are bread and butter in these fields. To understand anything deeper happening there, superficially everybody will understand, but once you want to go deeper into those fields, you need that knowledge. Is everybody okay with that? Of course, you will need some computer science knowledge, algorithms, etc., etc. Those will come, those are easy. The hard part is the math part. I'm going to move to the second part, what he talked about, higher studies. If you allow me, can I spend a few minutes on that? So I have been graduate director for my school for 6-7 years. So we handle the masters in computer science and doctoral studies, PhD in computer science. So over last 6-7 years, I have probably reviewed about 7,000 to 8,000 applications. So I have some experience in terms of, me and my team has some experience in terms of how to evaluate graduate applications. When we say graduate, we are talking about masters and PhD. So I can sort of share with you some insight into what not to write in the application, if that's okay. Yeah. So sort of standard pitfalls I will mention. Usually all these applications will require you to send your transcripts, which you do not have much choice, but you have to show what grades you got. So you cannot change those. Hopefully you can't change those. We had cases where people had changed those and we got them. The thing which, of course, we'll need some recommendation letters from faculty, academic references, etc. The problem which comes, especially I'm talking about from India when we receive applications, is the CV. So here the CV which we get is very generic. Okay? Please, 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 whenever you apply for whatever, never send a generic CV. Do a little bit research about that organization, about that institution, whatever, and please target your CV for that organization. It's so important, people miss that thing, you spend $100, $150 to pay the whatever the admission fees and then apply with just generic CV, it's not going to work. And in 10 seconds I can tell you this is a generic CV or not. Okay, the standard mistakes, especially coming from the Indian side, is hobbies. First of all, I think everybody has to write hobbies here. I do not know why. I do not see that from Chinese, Iranian students, etc. But in the hobbies, you're applying for computer science, and for sure reject in your application is if you write your hobby as web surfing. Think about it. If you're in computer science, and if that is your hobby, God knows what else are your hobbies. Okay? Like how can you survive in computer science or any field without doing web surfing? So please, please, please. Okay? If you apply for university, then do not say that I want a placement in an industry, then why did you apply to university? Standard thing, right? So again, these are standard mistakes which I see every day, and I kind of feel sad that the key to be the sort of if your CV has to stand out, then you have to have some extremely successful extracurricular activities. Okay, so something which really shines a lot. That's so important. Of course, everybody will have good grades, etc., etc. If anything shows your leadership skill, that will be excellent. So please think about that. We as well, most of the university will require what is called as a statement of intent, or why you want to apply for graduate school. So the standard mistakes what people make in those things is that they will say, oh, when I was a baby, I was introduced to computer science, a computer, my dad or mom gave me a computer, and after that I fell in love. 25% applications are this. I do not know from where on Google you're reading this kind of a statement is not going to work. Please write it from your heart why you want to apply for computer science or whatever field. Okay, it has to come from your heart. You can say that I do not know why I want to do masters in computer science or PhD in computer science. That's perfectly fine. You can say that I just want to explore this area. That's perfectly fine. But try to be truthful. And other things which I see quite commonly is spelling mistakes, wrong name of the university in which you're applying, etc., etc. These are sure rejects. So I sort of deviated out of the topic, but I think this kind of information will be helpful. I will get back to more things if there are relevant questions, etc. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. So today, the students, at the click of the button, they get all the information, but that also comes with a lot of noise. At the click of the button, they also, get access to many friends, but that also leads to a lot of peer pressure. How can the students, so of course with the application hygiene factors, as you have mentioned, they will be followed by the students, but how to protect yourself from this environment also and from this noise? And how are the students, let's say from China or from other countries, are they able to do it better than the Indians? Or we normally find that the students who finally reach the temples of learning, especially in the US and Canada, are largely focused and they really know what they want to do. And as you mentioned that in the CV or in their SOP, it's clearly stated why they want to do what they want to do. Is it really necessary for somebody to figure out this at a very early stage in their life?
So I'm talking about masters and PhDs, not early. So I will say one should better know. Maybe one doesn't know what particular area in that particular field you want to get into, but at least you have a broad idea that, okay, in terms of computer science, you may say, okay, I want to do research in operating systems or whatever. So you have some broad idea. Of course, when you apply to a university, you have to think about who are the professors there, try to read up their profile, see what kind of research they are doing, etc., etc. So you have to do some research before applying, okay, please. And in terms of, I have seen that Chinese students are extremely well prepared, maybe they're coached extremely well. In fact, we are flooded with the undergraduate students. I mean, after grade 12, when they come to studies, we are flooded by a lot of Chinese students. And a lot of Korean students as well. Of course, after China, I think it's the Indian students who are largest in number.
Pritesh, will move to you. You have done your higher studies as well from IIT Kharagpur. Your interests lie in the field of cloud computing, and you currently are also working in a company that is one of the largest private clouds that is there. Just if you can throw some light on what made you choose this as a career path and the rate at which new developments are happening. How are you also addressing this need to upskill yourself and keep yourself relevant so that we continuously are, on the right growth path?
I think next slide. I think next one you'll have to come back. This one, yeah. Go. So, I was in Laut still back in 2006-2008. So nice coming here after a long time. Let me explain the first cash flow quadrant, and then we'll talk about various topics in next 6 minutes. Number one is employee. They work for other people. They trade their time for money. Number two are self-employed people, like Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. They trade their time for themselves and earn money. Number three people are big business owners or senior management of any company. They use other people's time and investors' money to benefit everybody in the society. Number four people are investors. They bet on the senior management and try to get more returns in the future. So I will tell you how to first become an employee, then slowly move to how to get into senior management, and in final stages of life, maybe investor. This right hand side quadrant is a passive source of income, while left hand side is an active source of income. So you can go back to previous slide. So first let's talk about getting a job or becoming an employee. Like me, a lot of you have ended up in engineering because of peer pressure. I was also the same. Let's think what we can do here to either get interest in engineering, or if not engineering, then somehow get into other careers like marketing, sales, investment management, consulting, etc. So dream job is, first thing is to find a dream job. One of the things is find what you are good at, find your passion, and find the job which other people are willing to pay a lot of money for it. That's a dream job. So you don't have to work. It shouldn't feel like work. Another way of finding a dream job is to take a personality test. 16personality.com offers a great standardized test which tells you the kind of job suitable in the marketplace for your personality type. Understand, these personality types are very hard to change. It takes decades to change personalities across time. My personality is a data personality, entrepreneur type of personality. I cannot become suddenly people person, and so on, and it's very hard to jump from one type to another. So find what you love doing. College time is the best time to prepare CV. good, and I think Professor talked a lot about it. Uh, uh, Good grades, research papers, leadership position in societies, good references from professors and managers help a lot. This CV will be useful to companies as well as research for a masters and graduates, and of course, tailor fit that CV for them. Don't copy paste the same content everywhere. This will help you in building the soft skills which are very important in today's organization as well as hard skills. I will talk about some of the technical skills here to get into IT industry and getting into good companies rather than service companies, good product companies. Start with data structures and algorithms. Very few basics of these. Start with simple databases like relational databases and then move to document databases. Start with simple computer languages like Python or Java or both of them. Docker and Kubernetes are most widely used tools to convert your applications to services and finally deploying onto cloud. Every company is